Price caps for first home buyer schemes lifted as property prices surge. Now in today's video, we're going to take a look at the new price caps that are here in Australia for the first home loan deposit scheme. And we're going to discuss the state of the market at the moment and take a look at what you might be able to achieve in your local area. My name's Luke and I talk about all things property investing and renovations. I'm going to give you a moment to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel down below. And let's jump into this article and take a look at what's happening in the market at the moment. So higher price limits for first-home buyers using the federal government's deposit scheme will ensure that more people can access the program as property prices surge. Now this is a really great initiative that the government's taking on. It's allowing people who haven't been able to get into the first home owner market use the government and the scheme to get into their property sooner and to potentially get some wealth and get some backing behind them and put a roof over their head. So the property price caps under the first home loan scheme will rise by $100,000 or more across the capital cities and by at least that amount in most regional areas. The changes will make a big difference to the coverage of the scheme. Given the strong housing price growth we've seen over the last 6 months, the higher caps will ensure the scheme is still applicable for many home buyers. Now, the only issue with lifting the cap by another $100,000 means that it's going to continue to fuel the property market. People who are going out there to buy their first home are going to be able to use this scheme even more, which is going to help drive up prices in that first home owner buyer's market, anywhere between a couple of $100,000 up to $700,000 or $800,000 in the Sydney and Melbourne areas. Now, this is not going to help the market slow down at all. This scheme is going to help more people get in, and it's going to help push up property prices and push up demand. Now the price caps will apply from the 1st of July, so that's only days away, for the main first home loan deposit scheme, which will help low and middle income earners buy their first home with a deposit as low as 5% without needing to pay lender's mortgage insurance. And the new family home guarantee, which will help 10,000 single parents over a 4-year period buy a home with as low as 2% for a deposit. Now 2 and 5% deposits, they're really unheard of these days. You don't really hear of anyone being able to get into the property market with much less than a 10% deposit. And even when you have a 10% deposit, you've got to pay lender's mortgage insurance. So the fact that people looking to get their own home, they're going to be able to get out of the rental market, and with just 5% down, that could be as little as $25,000 or $50,000 depending on where you live. It's going to enable people to get into the market sooner and get their own home and get that step up on the property ladder. Assistant Treasurer and Housing Minister Michael Sukkar said the increase in the price caps was sensible given the first home loan deposit scheme started 18 months ago. So the government's really saying that the caps were, relevant 18 months ago when they first set them, but given the market's gone wild over the last 12, or especially the last 6 months, the increase in these caps at the 1st of July is much needed in the market. Now he said that we believe the family home guarantee is going to be very enthusiastically taken up, and I'm sure it will be, as well, and the announcement of these increased house price caps will put these programs in reach of many more Australians. Now there's an interesting statistic that 30,000 first home buyers have already benefited from the first home loan deposit scheme since it began in January 2020. And I can see many more families taking this up. So let's read on and see what's happening in the regional markets for the schemes as well. Now, price caps for the cities and regions are both going to increase, with the exception of the ACT, which will remain at $500,000. The price caps have lifted by $100,000 in Sydney, $100,000 in Melbourne, Perth, Adelaide and Hobart, while the cap in Brisbane and Northern Territory will rise by $125,000. Now what is that telling you? It's telling you that Brisbane and Northern Territory's caps were probably too low, and the growth and strength in those markets is potentially a bit higher, and they're wanting homeowners, or first homeowners I should say, to get into those markets a little bit sooner and at a little higher price point. Now, the new thresholds in Sydney and Melbourne cover 43 to 55% of sales over the last year, and that's up from 31 to 41%. So let's show you on screen a look around Australia at the new price caps and what they were previously. So you can see the list here of Sydney, the rest of New South Wales and Melbourne. So Sydney's now got an $800,000 cap with large regional centres included in that cap. And I know 800,000 is not going to get you into an even inner or middle ring suburb. You're going to be on the outer suburbs of Sydney. but it's still going to help you get into the market down there. So I guess it's a good thing. The rest of New South Wales is $600,000, Melbourne and Geelong 700, and then you can see the list here, which lists out the rest of the key areas across Australia. I'll just point out Brisbane with a cap of now $600,000. Now that's probably going to get you in Brisbane anywhere between, 12 to 20 kilometres from the CBD. You're not going to be able to get quite close in with a cap of $600 to use this scheme, but it's going to get you into a half decent area if you can maximise and use the top of the cap. So here's my point of view on spending a little more money and maximising your first home loan deposit scheme rather than buying a property with less value. So you've got kind of a few options here. You can maximise the lending and buy a $600,000 property up here in Brisbane, or you could use a less deposit and buy a $400,000 or $300,000 property. Now over time, those properties are going to compound in value and going to grow and add to your net worth and equity. And I'd much rather have the higher value property to hold for the long term than the lower value property. Now, a $600,000 property up here in Brisbane is going to get you into better areas. It's going to allow you to have more value add potential when you do a renovation. And comparing that to a lower property which has less value, there's going to be more builders in the market who are selling $400,000 properties. You're probably going to be further away from the CBD, access to schools and lifestyle. And so, in my opinion, using the maximum of the loan scheme rather than a lesser amount is probably going to stand you in good stead. The only thing to keep in mind here is that you don't want to be giving yourself financial stress, and you don't want to be over leveraging yourself and putting too much money down so that you're worried about making your repayments on your loan. So of course, speak to a financial advisor or an accountant and your broker and work on a strategy that's best for you. But that's just my opinion on how I would approach it if we were starting again, and I would maximize that value, look for the value add potential quickly, and get the government to guarantee my loan as well if that's what they're willing to do under this scheme. So it's really a great time to be getting into the market. 1st of July, these caps are going to increase and you'll be able to access them if you're a first home buyer. I'm sure it's difficult at the moment if you're looking at property and trying to get your first home as stock's going quickly, and there can be rubbish stock out on the market in these times. We've definitely seen some rubbish stock around with corner blocks on main roads and next to industrial areas going to auction as people try to offload bag stock in this hot market. So be wary of what you're looking to buy and where you're looking to buy it, but do yourself a favor, get educated, take the best steps you can to grow your wealth, and I wish you all the best in finding your first property. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. If you could drop that like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, that would really help me out, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Every video you want to be in. Thanks for coming. Now back on your bed.